All right, good evening, everyone, and welcome to Green White Checkered TV. Tonight we have the Area 51 Dark Horse IndyCar Series here at Phoenix Raceway. Will be 125 laps, the race distance this evening. Drivers just now coming out for their qualifying laps, and so been doing some sleuthing and getting some info, and it looks like it should be about a 2-stop race on fuel mileage. I've been hearing roughly low to mid 40s. Which, knowing some of these guys, probably means some guys might be able to stretch into the 50 laps or so. But been hearing a lot of interesting things from some of the drivers, hearing changing weight jacker numbers from basically from turns 1 and 2 to turn 3 and 4 every lap. So some drivers making some big adjustments through the course of the race. That'll be very interesting to see how it goes. And as I don't have Mr. Andrew Wood here tonight, but as I think I've got better and even better than favorite son, and that's I don't know if we got favorite son for Quabi. I don't know if we call you only father or what we got, but so my dad Jim Brooks is here in the booth with me, not racing tonight, so I was able to bribe him in to call the shots here with me tonight. So calling you Jim's gonna be weird. So Papa, what do you think for tonight? I know you've enjoyed Phoenix before. And I mean, these guys are running 18, 19-second laps. I mean, what's it like going around this track in an IR18?
First of all, thanks for the invite. It's weird to be on this side of the camera, but interesting. Yeah, that's going to be a real challenge. And if they're changing weight jackers for each corner, I don't see how that's going to be doable for the whole race. But I guess maybe they're able to do that. But no, it's a tight little track, and it's real competitive. You got to watch out. Passing is hard. Should make for a pretty exciting race.
Yeah, passing, I think, definitely going to be one at the premium. Obviously, aero wash is always a concern with these cars, no matter where you are. So, yeah, once you get to the short tracks, it's definitely an issue to deal with. The other thing I got to talk about is this is race number 5 of the season, so not quite halfway through. And right now it is pretty much 3 drivers within 1 point of each other. Christopher, after Michigan last week, or 2 weeks ago, I apologize, after the break, has a 1-point lead over Nick DeGroot as well as Bruno Miranda. So right now we've got Nick DeGroot with 2 wins on the season, Bruno with 1, Eric Schaus with 1. However, it's been Chris with the consistency starting off the season with the 3 runner-up finishes. So, unfortunately, was not the run he was hoping for at Michigan. He'll be looking to bounce back quick. And already looking at the ticker, if you look up at the top there, our top 3 in points are currently showing top 3 in qualifying. So it looks like they are finding their way right to the top once more here. So also a great car count. Looks like just about 20, maybe just over 20 cars in the field here as well. So should be a really good show here as we got just a few more drivers putting some laps down on track to maybe see if they can break into that top 3. And I think we've just seen it happen. Looks like, I believe Craig Forsyth, Matt Wagner may have poked their way into the top 3 in qualifying here.
It's going to be interesting. There's some good competition out there, and probably the top 5, top 8 there go down to Charles Teed. Although anybody can really do well on this track if you're just consistent and smooth. That's the bottom line, and not overdrive your car and end up in the wall, which is usually what happens off of 4, I think.
Yeah, and that's the other thing to mention is obviously Phoenix, a little bit of a reconfiguration. So it's kind of one of those hard things to relearn. So you've got the cactus at the start-finish line, the dog leg, and then turns 1 and 2 is what used to be 3 and 4 for us, the backstretch, and then turns 3 and 4, which I still will mix up at some point tonight, calling it turns 1 and 2. And then also you can see that yellow line going around through that kink there. I believe the rule for this series is going to be those drivers need to stay to the right of it. You'll see them use it, obviously, during qualifying. I'm sure a bunch of them cut it to shorten the track as much as they can. But come race conditions, though, I believe they will go ahead and stay to the right of it, which will make that a very challenging portion of the racetrack. However, qualifying has just finished up here, and we're going to go ahead and pull it up to our pit lane so we can take a look at our starting grid. And it looks like our pole sitter for tonight is going to be the number 99 of Craig Forsyth. Trying to get the qualifying results to actually show up here. There they are. Craig Forsyth with the pole by 0.02 of a second over Matt Wagner. Nick DeGroot there in third. Nick actually losing out the front row by 1,000th of a second from Matt. Then got Bruno Miranda there, Chris Stouffer, Eric Peterson, our top 6. Gary Laverne, Charles T, Dan Morera, and Yari Brupacher are top 10. And then moving on down there, you have Jim Herrick in the 4D Raceware machine, starting in 11th. Next to him is Michael Mata in the number 61. Continuing down, you have Adriano Frapporti, Taylor Reeves, Eric Schaus, Alan Morera, Elmer Joseph, Brad Adams, and then Richard Sanchez, William Swenson, and Bill Colley will round out our 21 drivers here tonight. Again, don't know for sure if all drivers will be taking part. I'd say sometimes you get those hiccups, disconnections, things of that nature. So we'll keep an eye. Hopefully everybody's here right now, waiting for, looks like 4 more drivers to grid, and then we'll see that pace car start to roll off. But yeah, 21 cars, that's a pretty solid field. And I think it's just going to really, the start's going to be important. Cold tires, full of fuel. These things are going to be a little bit of a handful, I think, especially I would say, probably by 3 and 4, if not coming back to 1 and 2, just because the tires won't have that temp built up yet. Plus the aero wash. I mean, where do you look for as your kind of your number one spot for concern?
I think you're right. And 3 and 4, when they come off of there, it's going to be people pushing up from the inside, and bit of a danger there. If they take it easy for a couple of laps, get the heat in the tires, then it should be a little more competitive and go for some passes. But it's going to be dangerous those first 2 laps.
Yeah, I think everybody's going to need to try to just mind their P's and Q's. You see Craig roll off of the front row with Matt Wagner alongside. And again, I talk about points. I mean, I'm looking at Craig. He's a little bit back in 5th, not out of the running by any means, only 19 points out. But this is a good opportunity for him to have that track position right off the bat. Gain a bonus point for that pole position as well. So Craig's goal, I think, is going to be to try to take this lead and run away and hang on to it. And then, like I said, it's going to be up to everybody else to try to find a way around him. And that's what I'm curious to see, is what lane is going to be the lane of choice. We know we're going to see these drivers move up to the outside line, especially through 1 and 2, as it's a kind of a flatter, wider turn than turns 3 and 4. And so I think that'll probably be more of a single lane, but I think you're going to need to get a big run through 1 and 2 to get that run down the front stretch. So we'll see. I believe the pace car is just about to duck off, or they're going to... No, 1 more lap. Lights are still on, actually. So they're going to do 1 more pace lap.
Added a lap then.
That's a good idea. Say short track, make sure everybody gets all formed up here. Nobody has to rush to get ready. And honestly, I think, well, actually, no, it could go either way on the fuel mileage. I was going to say it would help fuel mileage, but it actually doesn't count as a lap in the race. So, I mean, again, these things get great fuel mileage under caution, but still something to look at, though, and wonder just to make sure. Just my poor math says, though, that they need to go a minimum of 42 laps per run to make it on the 2-stop strategy. That way they can go 42, 84, 126. And that's right, yeah, the pace car ducks off way early, so it gives Craig control all the way through this backstretch until turns 3 and 4. It's definitely an interesting setup with the new reconfiguration of Phoenix. So you'll see Craig leading this thing all the way around into turn number 3 and 4. Then he'll hit that restart zone, and we will be underway. You can see that Geico restart zone. Once the green flag flies, then they can get going. And they are down and away. I already see one peeking. Yari Brupacher wanted to go top. He stays in line. Craig is going to lead the field, separates himself from Matt Wagner. It's going to be side-by-side Nick DeGroot and Matt Wagner for second.
Oop, there's your first crash.
Yep, caution is out. It looks like it was towards the back half of the field. And, it's the 26 of Dan Morera is one involved. Trying to see, I think, Eric Schaus as well. That's a big story there because Eric was, again, he was 4th in points coming into tonight. So that's a big hit for him. But hopefully a quick tow might be able to get him back in the running quickly. But let's jump back. We'll take a look. Try to focus around Eric Schaus here in that number 72 machine. Let's see if we can find, they're 3 wide in front of him here as they go through. It's about to become 4 wide. And yeah, he got together. Oh, actually, big hit for Jim Herrick as well in the 40. That's what collects Dan Marrera. And oh my goodness, the 72 car gets, I'll say, the Hot Wheels sponsorship is accurate on that car because that thing flew. And yeah, I'm glad this is a virtual race because that's a really, really bad hit for Eric, and unfortunately having to take a quick tow there to get back to pit road. And again, these guys all do have one faster pair, but 3 cars involved early, Jim Herrick, Dan Marrera, and Eric Schaus. That's going to bring the caution out. We'll jump back live here. And pit road, I believe, is just opening now. And I don't think we'll see any takers except for maybe those towards the back of the field. So I'm going to jump all the way back here to around Rick Sanchez and Jim Herrick. I mean, okay. I like the call here. If you're Rick, I mean, you might as well. You're pretty much the last car in the lead lap. Get that little extra fuel. This is a track you can go, if you can go an extra lap or two, get that magical timed yellow. I mean, you could trap cars a lap down here and put yourself in a much, much better track position.
The wreck was like 4 wide, so that was probably not a good choice by everybody trying to do that.
Yeah, 4 wide usually not ideal at mini track. I mean, I guess you can get away with it at like an auto club, Michigan, for a little bit at least, but yeah, I feel like 3 is about the max you can do. 2 is comfortable, but 3, even 3, I'd feel a little bit nervous. So that said, the lights already off. The pace car, Eric Schaus, is back on track already. I'm going to update our ticker here so we can see. I believe he is 2 laps down. Unfortunately, Dan's leaving too, so he's now 2 laps down. And Craig's going early here. He has control, and he decided to jump early here. And that is going to catch a few guys sleeping here because he and Nick DeGroot are gone. Matt Wagner's about a second back already off of Nick DeGroot. But I think going early here is actually a good call here because it's going to spread that field out, and you won't have to worry about that 3 potential 4 wide racing early on. So Craig trying to kind of catch some of those guys maybe not quite ready to jump, and he's got a nice little lead here right now. The closest battle right now is just outside the top 10. And it's going to be Michael Mata and Adriano Fraporti. Looks like they stay side by side. For a second, it looked like Michael had it, but then Adriano was able to cross him over. And it looks like, yeah, he'll hold that position. So move Adriano up into 12th, Michael to 13th. And Elmer Joseph's going to join the party now in that 66. So Matt Wagner and Nick DeGroot here battle for second, and battle no longer. Matt Wagner going to get around Nick DeGroot, and a little surprised by this. Nick dropping back actually here. I'm not sure if maybe he had a bit of a mistake or if he's got some strategy going in that 89 car, but he's falling back pretty quickly. I'm almost wondering if he maybe had some contact somewhere off of 2 or 4. That car just does not look like it's handling to me. He's not back to 7th.
Not his style. He runs pretty hard all the whole race.
Yeah, so we'll keep an eye and see if he's able to settle in. I'm not sure if he's maybe trying to run to a fuel number or if that car's hurting. Like I said, I didn't see anything, but just the way that car is running, something uncomfortable for him for sure at the moment. But what this has done, though, is it's a lot of few drivers that move up. You just saw Gary Laverne go by, Charles Teed a moment ago as well in that 50. But last time by, the fastest car on track was actually that number 6 of Matt Wagner moving up into 2nd. However, we got a great battle right behind Matt, though, with Chris Stouffer and Bruno Miranda. Again, these two are separated by 1 point right now in the championship, along with Nick DeGroot. So right now, this is kind of the championship lead battle as they run. I say Bud Steele chiming in on YouTube. Say Papa, he's saying that the kids are lucky that you and him aren't there to show them how to get around the flat tracks. I say this is one of the places Bud really enjoyed running with the Indy cars.
Yeah, actually, he was in the old configuration going into turn 1. He was always able to take a higher line and be faster than everybody else, and I never could figure that line out. So I don't know if he could still do that with the new configuration.
So next time we're here, we'll have to bug him and get him on track ahead of time. But Right now, it's kind of doing the typical Phoenix race where everybody's going to start to spread out a little bit. We talked about that arrow push. What's going to happen to Craig right away here? He's going to start to catch some traffic. We mentioned the 5 car topping off on that 1 to go. However, he's already now in the sights of our leader, Craig Forsyth. So Rick's going to have to try to hustle a little bit. And lap time-wise, it's not a lot, but when they're running 19-second laps, he's running 19.3s to Craig's 19.0s. And again, it's like, well, it's not that different, but it feels like a ton when you're running laps this quick. And actually, he picks up a 10th last time by to a 19.22. But again, Craig's still running 04s right now in that number 99. So, but for Craig, he's going to at some point here run into some dirty air, and it's probably going to stall that progress out of that 99 machine, where he's going to have to try to find a way to, like you said, maybe position his car somewhere different, maybe run the top line instead of the bottom. Trying to kind of compare lines. It looks like they're running fairly similar lines there through 1 and 2. And like I mentioned, 3 and 4 I feel like is usually pretty standard. So let's hop on board with Craig's car here. And we'll run a lap around, see where he does take 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Entering 1 and 2 now. And yeah, it looks like a late apex into 1 and 2. And man, they're carrying a ton of speed through there. Now they're heading down the back into 3 and 4. And Craig's entering a little lower, but man, these things, there's not a lot of fall off in pace pop. I think that's the biggest thing I'm noticing. I'm watching those revs, and they're staying right at the edge of almost on the shift light. As now Craig's really catching Rick here, as Rick is trying to work around Michael Mata, or I believe that's actually, is that Michael Mata? So I can't quite catch the car number there. No, I don't think that was. Yeah, what car is that? Sorry, I'm trying to see which car that was there. As Craig's able to get him. It is Michael Mott? Okay. Oh, yeah, you're right. Okay. So that's going to put him down, I believe, at least 1 lap. And now Craig's going to see if he can find a way around Rick. And then update on DeGroot. I think Nick's got damage or something. He's limping something, I believe, in that 89 car, because he's down to 13th now. So I'm thinking he must have slapped the wall or something out of 2 or 4 early on in that restart, and it just builds a big push, because you can still race these cars if you make kind of a pancake hit, if you will. In my opinion, you can probably give better insight on that one too, being you've run these way more than I have lately. They still drive okay, but it just feels like you just lose all the rotation in them when you have that right side damage.
Well, he'll tell you, too, if you have wheel damage, and I bet you that he does, because I notice him going into the corners. He's going in higher than the normal line, and he's not fighting anybody. So it doesn't look like he's trying to do fuel conservation at all. I think you're right. He probably tagged the wall somewhere and ended up hurt now, so he's going to have to limp it until he gets to the first pit stop.
And that's the thing, too, is, yeah, you can't pit unscheduled at this place. You need a yellow, and that's what he's going to be hoping for, is get a caution to get back into it and probably get that fast repair, because this is a track, and that's why I mentioned how important it was possibly for Rick to go ahead and top off with that time of caution, because I believe you'll probably go 2 laps down here under a green flag pit stop. So the longer you can go, I think the better at a track like this, whereas some bigger tracks like a Pocono, Indianapolis, you can get in and out of pit road and not lose a lap if you're towards the front. These short tracks, it's a whole other ball game.
Yeah, exactly. And this is only lap 26, so Nick's got a long way to limp that thing. He's going to be a couple laps down probably by the time he gets to pit.
Yeah, so it's one of the things you never want to root against your competitors, but yeah, he's hoping somebody makes a mistake and brings out a caution so he can kind of just stop the bleeding and be able to get back after it. But we've got a really good battle here for the 7th and 8th position here. Jari Brupacher, Gary Laverne. These two have been going back and forth, trading the position pretty much every corner, and they've brought 2 cars with them here with Alan Morera and Taylor Reeves. And actually, I think Nick basically kind of said, I give up, I can't, I got to hit pit road. So Nick DeGroot on pit road now. He waited as long as he could. He said, I can't wait any longer. The only thing is I still think this is outside his fuel window still, so he's unfortunately still going to be stuck having to make even, I think, 2 more stops still at this point in the race. So unfortunately, let's say this might be one of those, we talk about having a drop week in the series. this could be a drop week race for Nick unless things really turn the right way for him later on. But right now, though, you can see, though, Gary's able to hold on to that spot, and now it's Taylor Reeves, Alan Morera. They kind of continue to fight, but while they've done that, they've started to separate themselves out just a little bit, so we'll jump a little forward. Okay, so Charles Teeds found his buddy, Eric Peterson, and these two are battling right at the top 5 mark.
There's a few battles around the track that you can see now Nick's back out, so I'm going to watch him for a sec here to see if he's back up to speed. It looks like he is. He's starting to pass some of the other cars.
Yeah, so right now he sits 2 laps down after his pit stops, and he's also, I mean, I would say tail end of 3, because he's got about half a straightaway over Craig, so he's pretty safely 2 laps down. Really, Nick's best hope here would be for the green flag cycles for the leaders, get a caution before he has to make his second scheduled pit stop, because again, at this point he can go probably about 30 laps longer than the leaders on fuel. So he's just going to try to hustle around right now, I think, make some time. We'll jump back to that top 5 battle though, because yeah, Teed and Peterson, like this is definitely a friendly rivalry with these two. You know, they're probably giving each other grief on the radio while racing. Obviously you've raced with Teed and Peterson a bunch, and so you know that they like to have fun while competing, and they're putting a good fight on right here for that top 5 spot.
And they're both very competitive. They're not going to give an inch, so together that's like a double whammy there.
Yeah, exactly right. I say before we get to pit stops, let's go ahead. We'll run through the fields here real quick. We'll get good looks at our paint schemes of these great looking cars. So we're going to kick it off with our pole sitter and current leader, Craig Forsyth. He is started from pole, still continues to run from the top spot there in the 99. Just over a second back is Matt Wagner, who started second, currently running second. And then up into third is Chris Stouffer in that number 1340 Raceware machine. Again, he and Bruno Miranda right now are our championship leaders. Right now, Chris leading Bruno by 1 point. And there's that 1.1 position. There's Bruno right now, our defending champion. He sits in that 4th position. And then jumping back to that top 5, there was that battle with Eric Peterson, Charles Teed. It's separated themselves just for a moment here. Eric gaining 1 spot from his starting position up into the top 5. Then you got Charles Teed in that number 50 plus 2 into 6th spot. Then about 3 seconds back to Jari Brupacher. He's actually gained 3 positions from his top 10 to 7th now. So he's making some good gains, I should say. Then got Gary Laverne there right behind him in 8th. And then 2 of our higher climbers here. You got Taylor Reeves right now in 9th. And then rounding out the top 10 with 6 spots gained is Alan Morera there in the 21. Then Adriano Ferporti here in the 072 is currently 11th. And then we get to our highest climber here, Bill Colley, plus 9 from his starting spot. So a good start early on for Bill here. Hoping to continue this run for himself in that number 31, as he's actually going to get by that car of Michael Mata. And 13th, we have Elmer Joseph there in the Glidden machine. Jim Herrick in 14th, who we mentioned was involved in that earlier incident, but still going on the lead lap. And we got Brad Adams in 15th. And William Swenson was rounding out our lead lap cars, but he actually just got put a lap down by Craig Forsyth, though. So he is sitting in 16th now, the first car one down, which now this is an important spot to be in as well, Papas. You want to be, if you get put down a lap, you want to be that first car one down. And we actually got pit stop starting just as I say that. Adriano Ferporti, he's on pit road. Bill Colley, he is on pit road as well, and that's right at that 42 number. So they're hitting that. That's with a caution though, but they're right on that number. Eric Peterson now jumping in, one of our front runners. Now he's on pit road as well. So I feel up. Actually, here comes Craig Forsyth as well, our leader. He's going to hit pit road this time around, and he is hustling that thing onto pit road. Make sure he's got to get it slowed down. I think job done by him. There's Matt Wagner as well as Chris Stouffer, Charles Teed. Everybody's headed in. Jari Brupacher's in as well. So that's going to cycle the lead now to Bruno Miranda. And this is where you get nervous, because some of these guys can go further than others, and this is where there's going to be cold tires. Some guys are going to be on very different speeds, and this is where sometimes going long could be a huge benefit.
Yeah, if you can hang out that next couple of laps, people tend to make mistakes during cautions, during pit stops. So yeah, Bruno stands a chance if he gets lucky here.
Yeah, saying Bruno's making great fuel mileage, so definitely hats off to him because he's still going here. And you can see the ticker on the left. Once we get somebody out of pit road, you're going to see how far down the laps they are. And I think Craig is going to come out right at 1 lap down. Some of these guys are going to be right on the edge of 2 laps down here. And I think right now it's just he and Jim Herrick, as Richard Sanchez now, he hits pit road. So yeah, that just leaves the 1 and the 40. These guys have, oh, see, one up in the wall there. Stays pointed straight though, but I think that was Bill Colley, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, here comes Bruno. He's going to now duck off on the racing service, hit pit road, which will now leave Jim Herrick as the final car that has yet to pit. And right now, as it's showing, I believe it'll put a bunch of cars back on the tail end of the lead lap. Actually, here comes Jim Herrick right now. He's got one exiting right in front of him. And, well, there you go. First cycle is completing now. So everybody's on pit road that's had to pit. So hats off to those guys. So now, I mentioned earlier, Papa, with Eric Schaus, Nick DeGroot, this is now where they say, okay, we want that yellow. We want to basically kind of get one or two of our laps back here. Now get the caution before we have to pit, because again, some of these guys are a little bit off cycle, namely Nick DeGroot, really. And so Nick's gonna, because right now Nick is ahead of Craig Forsyth. Actually, Eric Schaus on pit road now. So unfortunately, he didn't get it in time. But I believe, yeah, right now Nick is tail end of the lead lap. So I think he's rooting for something to happen on track here.
Yeah, the good news for him is that he's got quite a few laps that he can run while it can happen. But it seems like these guys are, after that first little incident, they've sort of calmed themselves down. They're spread out, like you said. So now it's a little bit less of a potential for accident.
Yeah, right now we have a really good battle here, though, between Taylor Reeves and Jari Brupacher. We'll hop on board with Taylor Reeves following that number 49 machine, and he is just pretty much just pacing him right now. And there it is. Caution is out, and it is, I believe, the 31. Oh, yeah, Bill Colley's going to try to spin this car around. He's got to be careful, though, because everybody's still trying to come through here. He's trying to find, there he goes. He found the opening. He's able to grab a gear and go. That is the exact break that Nick DeGroot was looking for. That puts him back on the lead lap. Now he can pit, and he'll be right back on cycle with the leaders. And that's what it takes sometimes. Unfortunately, Eric Schaus, he had to pit, so I think he goes back to 2 down. But I think also the other beneficiary of this caution will, I believe, it was either Adriano Forporti. So he's working on catching the field, and I think I'm showing him lead lap. It may have also been Brad Adams. I'm waiting to double check here to see if he passes around, but
yeah, that's what I see as Brad Adams.
So we'll double check here. So I see Jari Brupacher and Adriano Forporti on pit road. I did see for a moment it looked like DeGroot was going to pit, but he wasn't sure, so I think he stayed out. So we'll double check to see. Yeah, so unfortunately the bad luck for Bill is great luck for Nick. But let's go back. Let's see what happened to Bill here to bring out this caution. So look for Bill. All right, so we're going to focus on that number 31. Let's get a better angle here. And, oh, man, he's drifting through 1 and 2 there, and just unfortunately just couldn't hang on to it. But after everything is said and done, though, I think it winds up just being a solo incident, which is great. Great job by all these guys. Look at, oh, man, that's a close call by Charles Teed. He barely squeezed by there on the bottom. And so, yeah, so it looks like not a lot of strategy here. Most of the leaders staying out. Nick DeGroot is on pit road. And, yep, there goes Brad Adams. He's back on the lead lap. So that'll put 14 cars, I believe, back on the lead lap. And then leave 2 cars 1 lap down, which will be Elmer Joseph and William Swenson. And then I believe 2 laps down include Rick Sanchez and Eric Schaus, if my timing scoring is correct. And so I like what these guys are doing, though. They pit now since they couldn't get their lap back. pit now, get some more fuel in, go longer than leaders, and then again just hope that the timing works out. I think is your best bet.
Yeah, rinse and repeat.
Yeah, pretty much.
Why not again? Yeah, I don't believe how lucky Nick got. I mean, that was almost like he drew it up that way. So it's just interesting in Craig. He really looks like he's got this thing well in hand, because Matt's not been able to gain on him, and Matt's usually as fast as anybody. So I think Craig's got a real good feel for this setup right now on this track tonight.
Yeah, he's looked really comfortable for sure. And right now, again, they qualified first, second. They run first, second. Christopher's now up to third, gaining 2 positions. Bruno Miranda in fourth, right where he qualified. And then Eric Peterson rounding out our top 5, Charles Teed behind him. And currently our highest climber is right here, this 21 car, Alan Morera. He is +9 from his starting spot up into 7th. And then Taylor Reeves behind him in 34 is up into 8th from with 6 positions gained. So great job by both of them. So we saw Craig, he went really early last time. And again, I think it benefited him, and I think it benefited the field as well, because it kind of caught a few of them sleeping. We'll see if he goes for the same approach here. We'll actually watch off the rear bumper, or well, we'll watch off the rear wing, I should say. Yep, there he goes, midway down the backstretch. He's grabbing gears and getting back up to speed. And saying he's got times where he can just completely flat foot turns 3 and 4 and bring it back to green. And so not a huge gap over Matt Wagner. Matt was ready this time, but it looks like there is some separation right around after Charles Teed. Yeah, right from Charles Teed to Alan Morera. You can see there's the gap there, almost 2 seconds there. It's just that kind of that accordion effect. Sometimes someone's gonna kind of fall off just that little bit. So that's where it happened. And so we're back to green here, 56 of 125. And again, these laps click by very quickly here with these sub 20-second laps. But I think Matt's trying to be a little more aggressive early on in this run.
Looked like Chris Stover brushed the wall. It could have been just a net code, but I saw smoke and his tire went wonky all of a sudden. But he looks like he's holding steady behind Matt, so it was probably just a false alarm.
Yeah, it looks like look at Chris Stover. Look at the momentum he got there through 3. He's running that second lane there through 3 and 4. And it looked like it worked really well for him, although we hopped on board with Bruno Miranda while we were watching that, because Bruno that last time by ran the fastest lap of the race, 18.81. It looks like it was actually thousandths of a second quicker than Stouffer, because Stouffer is right around the same. Ooh, a little bit loose, it looked like, off of the 4 there for Bruno. Yeah, Craig's not running away as quick early on, and this battle for second, third, and fourth is really tight right now.
It's going to be interesting to see what Christopher can do, because he looks like he's got Matt in his sight.
Yeah, he really does. It's just, I think if Matt has a little bobble and Chris can capitalize, I think that's what he's going to need. And he's also got to try to figure out where to position his car, like you said, to get that clean air and be able to get that little bit of extra speed, if you will, the momentum. And right now he's been making, I feel like, some good progress out of 4. But again, I think turn 2 is where you need to try to make the gain so you can get that run down the straightaway to then have a look into 3 and 4.
Yeah, it's like they're really competitive right now. It's pretty equal, those 3 cars. And here he goes high again into 4 there. That's a Bud Steele line there.
Yeah, it looked like Bruno actually got a little bit of a better run that last time by and almost was able to peek a nose underneath, but couldn't quite do it. But they've broken away. Charles Teed looks like he's gotten around Eric Peterson for that top 5 position. So I'll say, right now, Teed's probably the one doing the bragging on their Discord with one another. But yeah, right now, now he's going to try to chase these guys back down. And right now he's within a couple hundredths of the leader's lap time. So he's definitely right on pace with them. And then also I'm looking at Richard Sanchez there, that third car line. Again, he's, I believe, 2 laps down. But actually, let me double check my timing and scoring here, because he always just tells me in seconds, not laps, which isn't always the most helpful. So I want to make sure what he actually is. And yes, he is 2 down. So right now the 66 and the 69 are 1 down. The 5 and the 72 are 2 down as we run. So yeah, so right now that's where he is at. So he's unfortunately gotta hope for Elmer Joseph and William Swenson. He's kind of hoping for bad luck for them to give him some good luck. But I'm going to go back because, man, Bruno Miranda is all over the rear wing now of Christopher. And he's actually on the inside.
Christopher's been doing a little mirror driving because he was right on Matt Wagner, and now all of a sudden he's dropped back and Bruno's all over him. So I think he needs to focus ahead and not look in that mirror so much.
Yeah, and they were tight there entering turns 1 and 2. So we're looking at the front of Bruno. Let's look out the back of Christopher. And yeah, a little bobble, I think. And might be getting those tires hot possibly too. And there again, here goes Bruno. He's going to peak low. And this time I think he's going to have the run. Can he clear him? He does. Move Bruno up into third. Good move there by Bruno in 1 and 2.
See if he can run down Matt now that he's got a clear track ahead.
Yeah, right now most of the field is dropped into the 1920s or lower. Craig actually ran a 1914, so he's still in the teens in that 99 car. So like you said, Craig's looking very, very comfortable, and that's always a dangerous thing for him. As this time by, again, yeah, only 100 slower, 1915. But actually, like you said, Papa, Bruno Miranda, he ran identical laps to Craig, another 1950. It's actually Eric Peterson that was quicker. He ran a 1914. Taylor Reeves in 1916. Everybody else was 20s or higher. So right now there's a couple cars still able to kind of keep that lap time down there, and it looks like Craig and Bruno are definitely two of them. As Bruno last time by was just 100th quicker, but that little bit, every little bit's going to matter here again, especially as we get closer to that final pit stop.
Yeah, if it's a green flag stop, it's going to be all or nothing pretty much. That'll just determine probably the winner if that's the case, because getting on and off is going to be the big challenge in this track for sure.
Yeah, pit stops will be crucial. I've been trying to keep an eye on Nick DeGroot. It looks like he just is actually, he's having a good fight here with Adriano Forporti, but he hasn't really been able to make a big charge here. He's still fighting on the outside here with that 072. This is for 12th and 13th. Now it looks like Nick clears. But yeah, he hasn't been able to charge back to the front by any means. But again, I also wonder if Nick's trying to kind of pull some strategy where maybe he's doing a little bit of fuel save possibly as he pitted under caution at lap 52. But the other thing I was going to mention on the fuel mileage side of things is, of course, Papa, is that they also have to pit. The window opens in, we'll say, roughly about 10 laps, maybe, yeah, about 10 laps from now, the window will open. However, I think these guys will try to stretch it as far as they can, of course, for that caution risk. But Bruno Miranda, they all pitted at 43. Bruno pitted at 47. He went 4 laps longer. So I wonder if Bruno can replicate that again here by going at least 4, if not more laps. Again, I think that puts the other guys in a pretty tough situation. And I think Christopher, we were watching how aggressive he was early. I wonder if he burned his stuff up a little bit, because here comes Teed. He's gained on him pretty quickly these last few laps.
Yeah, mentioning Bruno in the extra laps, it's like if he can actually do that twice, he'll need a whole lot less fuel, and that's going to gain considerable time on the track if he's able to pit shorter like that.
And that's a really good point. Is these pit crews, they usually are waiting, even though Area 51 runs reduced fuel, you still have to you'll still usually have to wait on fuel versus tires with this series. So because these guys are usually throwing about 5 maybe second pit stops under 5-6 seconds for tires. So yeah, so if you can have a 6-second pit stop or maybe 7 under green versus an 8-second pit stop when you got to fill it to fuel, then yeah, you're right. Bruno could be in a much better position than some of those guys, and he's slowly closing that gap, I should say. Craig is still running monster laps. He just ran a 19:10 last time by. He's actually gotten quicker somehow over the course of this run, maybe getting lighter on fuel. But Bruno's been gaining about a half a tenth or so per lap on Matt Wagner, and I mean, you can see now it's only a quarter of a second between them. He's put a second on Christopher, and then, like I said, Teed is starting to creep in on him as well. So they're starting to kind of bunch back up together. So it's everybody's starting to find kind of who's got the short run, who's got the long run pace.
Craig's got the whole run pace. I mean, he's pulling away from Matt just extremely fast here, and that Bruno's catching the opposite way. So yeah, I don't. Craig's just a monster right now.
Yes, and that's actually now also working traffic. You saw he got by, I believe that was William Swenson in the 69 car. Yeah, it was putting him another lap down. So now he's got his sights on, I believe that is going to be Elmer Joseph. Yeah, that's the next car line in that Glidden paint scheme. So he's got some traffic to deal with here, so he's going to have to kind of still be aggressive, but he's got to be careful in the process. And now that Matt's starting to get to that position too, man, here comes Bruno. Bruno's there. Like it's not even he's getting to him. He's there. So, and again, any little bobble that Matt makes, Bruno's going to be ready to capitalize on it.
Yeah, it's not going to take much, I don't think. Bruno's pretty aggressive, and he can smell. He needs second place because he's got to somehow try to chase down Craig.
Yeah, and that's going to be the next question as well as going to be the looks like window. Like I said, windows should pretty much be open now. A lot of these guys did not pit under caution, but of course those caution laps probably saved them a few laps on fuel. So I would suspect that these guys will have to be pitting, and I would roughly assume the next 5 laps or so. As man, Bruno's he was able to just completely roll that yellow line there. Really good rotation by him. So he is really making some great time in that 7. But I almost wonder for Bruno, is it worth the risk of short pitting to try to jump around, to try to maybe jump Matt Wagner or something like that in the pits? But as I say it, I kind of feel like no. I think he's got to run long and hope for that trapping drivers a lap down situation, even if maybe your pace is getting held up a tiny bit.
Yeah, I think he needs to be a little careful too, and that if he burns his stuff up like Stouffer may have done, then he's just going to defeat his purpose. He probably is wiser just to follow Matt, see if Matt makes a mistake, and then take an advantage of it. But in general, run as long as he can and try to shorten that pit stop up as much as he possibly can.
Yeah, I think that's probably what the strategy is going to be. Like he says, to run longer and then just put the bare minimum fuel you need to get to the end. Because again, with these cars, you do not have to run green white checkers. Actually, here comes Craig Forsyth. Here comes Matt Wagner. So pit stops just coming in now as they're Craig, big slide. And I think that was more of not to run into the back of that car in front of him. I think he got down to speed, but man, that's a heart and throat moment there for Craig Forsyth. But Matt Wagner, Chris Stouffer, Eric Peterson are all in. And so, like you said, here's Bruno's chance now. He's got to try to put down some qualifying laps, basically, to try to see if he can gain track position, kind of do that, if you call it, like in F1 terms, the overcut, run longer, try to gain some time on him while Craig's in the pits. And probably Craig lost a little time on that pit entry, too. So this is an opportunity for Bruno to capitalize.
Yeah, he needs to take advantage, not let these lap cars slow him up too much either, because that's going to defeat his whole purpose. And
just did a great job right there.
Yeah, it looks like he's doing okay on that. Ooh, scary.
Yeah, and as he's doing that, here comes Matt Wagner just rolling out of pit road. I saw Chris Stouffer come out behind him. So I think if he can, this is going to be tough because now Matt's going to want to fight him. But again, Matt's heavier on fuel. He's got cold tires, so that's why Bruno's able to get around. I think that puts Matt now 2 laps down. And again, that's the concern for these guys is, man, if he can go that much further, if we get that yellow, I'm in trouble. I'm not even going to get back on the lead lap. So this is where you're sweating bullets if you're a Craig Forsyth, Matt Wagner and company. So we'll have to keep an eye and see how that all goes. It looks like so far everybody's done well in pit stops. I don't see any penalties. So the drivers left to pit, though, are going to be Bruno Miranda, our leader, Jim Herrick in second, Nick DeGroot, who we've obviously talked about getting his laps back with that timely caution, Adriano Ferporti, and Yari Brupacher. And as I say that, Jim Herrick is on pit road now. So that's going to move Nick DeGroot up into second currently, but about 10 seconds off our leader here. And now Matt's new tires are coming in. He wants to get that 1 lap back because it's crucial for him here.
Oh yeah, it's a good move. He needs to move while he can and strike while the iron's hot.
Because now that puts him from 2 down to 1 down. So now he knows he can at least wave around and get back on the lead lap. So that's why that move is so critical for Matt. And again, he's got much fresher tires than Bruno. Bruno's lighter on fuel, but I think the tires finally came into their ideal temperatures. And I see Bruno, he's looking low. Yep, here he comes. He's going to duck onto pit road for his final stop. And again, he is pitting. Craig pitted at 88. Bruno is going to be pitting at about, I think it's going to be almost 90, or a little over 90, I should say, 95 or so maybe. I'll wait for it to officially go through, but I think it's around that. Nick DeGroot is in now as well. That's going to cycle things over here to this 072 of Adriano Fraporti. He pitted on lap 51, and looks like he's the last car to hit pit road, so maybe get a lap lead out of that number 072. And again, maybe just try to stretch it, see if he can gain a break. And actually, no, here he comes. Oh, caution's out as he does that. Yep, stay out, stay out. And he does. Good jump by him. And the caution is, I believe, the 66. Yeah, Elmer Joseph. And now, though, if you're Adriano Fraporti, you got to save. Hope that you have enough fuel to make it around when the pit road opens. And then I'm also trying to see, did Eric Schaus? Yeah, Eric Schaus had yet to pit, Papa. So that the number 72, he was last pitted at lap number 50. And I think that puts Eric Schaus possibly, oh, no, maybe just still maybe one down. We'll have to wait and see. But he does at least gain a lap or two back. And actually got another car down on there on the bottom. That's Gary Laverne. Not sure what happened to Gary here, but here comes Adriano. He's on pit road. Let's go back. Let's see what happened. Actually, it looks like it was a couple incidents here potentially. So I'm seeing something with Elmer Joseph. Let me find Elmer. Let me back or pause it real quick here so we can hunt him down. Oh, actually, Charles Teed gets in the back of him. Did he run out of fuel?
There's only 2 cars on the lead lap.
Yeah, there was a big stack up here. I'm not sure. Something happened to the 66, and unfortunately, Charles Teed had nowhere to go. So Charles loses his front wing in that situation. Yeah, and big hit to the outside wall as well. So not sure what happened there. But then there's something as well involving Gary. Oh, that's another shot right there. Oh, here's where Gary comes in. He gets a big shot as well. So, yeah, you can see a couple cars involved, unfortunately, in this one, which is what brought the caution out. So that's what happened with Gary. That's making way more sense now. So just tough break for those guys. But we'll jump back live because, yeah, I gotta see how all this is cycling through, like you said, Papa, because
yeah, now there's more like the top 9 it shows on the lead lap with Charles Teed being the last car, but it looked like Craig got the lucky dog, which doesn't make any sense. So hard to say.
Yeah, I'm waiting. So we have to see how everything cycles around because we've got a bunch of cars on the tail end of the lead lap being led by Nick DeGroot. Somehow out of all of this, Nick is now 4th, ahead of Matt Wagner, ahead of Christopher, who were up front this whole time. Eric Schaus, I believe, is going to get trapped 1 down still. Yeah, because he's behind Adriano. So basically everybody in front of this 072 are going to wave around and either go back to the lead lap or be tail end. But I think the other story here, though, Papa, is Bruno Miranda now. He cycles out in 2nd. He went long, like you said. And I'm also looking at his pit lane time and pit road time. In his pits, he was 8.05 seconds. Craig was 8.3 seconds. So not a big difference there. But pit lane time, I'm sorry, I'm mixing up cars. He was 8.05. Craig was 8.47. I apologize. However, Bruno was a full second faster on pit lane as Craig as well. So, and I think the timing of the caution was also where maybe Bruno was just leaving pit road and able to cycle ahead of Craig, and was maybe tail end of the lead lap. Whereas, like you said, Craig was the lucky dog. This is completely shaken up our running order here. We've got our leader, and then we've got a bunch of lap cars between himself and 2nd place, and the lights are off here. So this 072, he is our leader. You've got to go about 4 cars back to 2nd place, and then way far back to get to Craig Forsyth. This is looking great if you're the 072 car.
It's going to be an interesting finish because we got 24 to go, it looks like.
Yeah, going to restart 24 to go. Everybody's trying to get themselves rearranged here. So right now, got contact in the back. I think Matt Wagner may have lost a front wing in that whole procession. Yeah, he's got some contact. And I believe, though, we are back to green. I think some guys are getting antsy on that restart. Actually, no, caution back out. I apologize. Caution is back out. I think admins may have rethrown the yellow. Just everybody wasn't sorted there. So they're going to try to reorganize here. And I'm going to take a look at that 6. We're going to go back and watch this restart because there was definitely something that happened there. Trying to see if I can find where it was. You can see this is actually after the caution. We're gonna go the old-fashioned way here. We're gonna rewind it real quick here, and there's some. I see a. Oh, I think everybody's stopping right now. I think there's some confusion going on. So on my timing and scoring showing everybody's crashing. But so you see Matt Wagner here in that 6 car. You can see the stack up happening. Everybody's getting antsy, wants to get going. And the accordion finds its way to Matt Wagner, and then he's going to get into... Actually, he may have avoided it, actually. I think it may have been that net code like you mentioned before, Papa, with maybe actually didn't lose that front wing. We'll see if, it kind of reappears here. So let me jump back live because I'm trying to see what's going on here. Now it looks like everybody's rearranged. Lights are back off. And the running order appears to be the same. So I believe our lead lap cars go from Adriano Fraporti, our leader, to 8th place Yari Brupacher. And then Jim Herrick in 9th all the way back to Eric Schaus are 1 lap down. And then everybody from 15th on back are 1 or more down. So, okay, so now we're going to restart Papa with 22 to go. Still, Adriano Fraporti, our leader, still has a couple cars in between himself and Bruno Miranda. Bruno Miranda's got some cars between himself and Craig Forsyth. And by some, I mean about 6. But now it's up to Adriano. He can jump as early or late as he wants to. And I think I like the call here. Wait to go until it's later on here because you want to keep them bunched up. That's your best opportunity. And that's exactly what he's going to do. He's going to wait till right before the zone. Now he's down and away. And we are back under green here, 22 to go.
Yeah, he got a good start.
Yeah, it was a great start by him. He's got about a second over Bruno. Again, he's got 2 lap cars in between himself and Bruno Miranda. And like I mentioned for Craig Forsyth, oh man, it is a gaggle back here. Nick DeGroot trying to make 3 wide move as he and Craig Forsyth, as well as I think that's Charles Teed. It is a gaggle back here. And they are going for everything. So now, all of a sudden, after all this, Papa, Nick DeGroot back up into 4th after being 2 laps down earlier. Again, just making the most of some good luck, some good timing, and in the running for a potential podium here. Eric Peterson, unfortunately. Oh, Eric Peterson, big damage to that number 36 car. He is on pit road. You're going to have to take a fast repair there for him. He had a good night going. Unfortunately, it is not going to end that way. And right now, Adriano's still able to keep ahead of that number 1 machine, our defending champion, with those 2 lap cars in between. Now they're battling side by side. This is great for him as Jim Herrick, and I believe that is the 5 of Richard Sanchez fighting for position. This is exactly what Adriano wants to have happen here as we got 18 to go.
Yeah, Bruno's got to be frustrated. He's trying his best, and now he's finally looks like he's going to be able to at least get a chance to clear and be the next car behind him.
Yeah, he's got 1. Now he's got to try to get that number 40 of Jim Herrick. And again, the thing is, Jim's got to stay aggressive here too because he wants to make sure he's the first car 1 down. He's got about just under 2 seconds of a gap between himself and Eric Schaus. However, it was a lap or 2 ago. Eric Schaus ran the fastest lap of the race too, so Eric's hustling to try to get to that 40 car. But yeah, like you said, though, Bruno's there. He is all over the rear wing of Jim Herrick. He's going to take it down low, and I think should clear him out of 4. Nope, can't quite do it. He's going to stay side by side. But unfortunately, Adriano this time around has not been able to run away like that initial restart, so he's going to definitely have a rear wing full of Bruno Miranda here. As now he clears, and so now Bruno, like you said, he's got full sights now set on our leader.
Yep, now just does he have enough time? It probably does, but it's going to be an interesting finish.
Yeah, so this is where maybe you wonder if you're Adriano, was he maybe just backing it down a little bit to save some tire, that way he can crank it up once Bruno got there. Again, he's going to have to try to feed Bruno all the dirty air he can here. That's going to be his best chance to try to win this race, is to just kind of make that car wide. And the thing is, we've seen Bruno, he's been able to make passes, and oh man, he is there. He's already going to peek to the outside here, entering turn number 3. We'll see which is the best way around. They stay side by side as they head through the dogleg, entering 1. I think this might be the answer if you're Adriano here. I think you got to force Bruno to run the top here and hope that he can just kind of run that shorter distance and keep the 1 pinned up top maybe.
Exactly, because it's working, but as soon as he gets clear, it's over with.
However, while they're fighting, though, Craig Forsyth, he was 0.4 of a second quicker. You can see him in the background. Craig's trying to get there, and you know he's going to want to get back up into this mix here because he's going to feel like he had one taken away from him. But again, there's sub 20-second laps here. We got 10 to go already. Oh, Bruno's going to clear him. Can he finish the job? He does. For the moment, he does. Bruno Miranda's going to take the lead here. 10 to go.
I don't think Craig has enough time, and there's too many cars in his way.
Yeah, right now the battle's actually going to be the Lucky Dog battle because Eric Schaus, he's just been on a charge. He has gotten to Jim Herrick. Actually, Yari Brewpocker's on the lead lap. I apologize. Yeah, this is the Lucky Dog battle right here, the 40 and the 72. Again, Eric, there's no green light checkers here with the Area 51 Dark Horse series. However, if a caution comes out quick enough, there could still be a restart. So Eric Schaus wants to try to get around Jim Herrick if he can. And you can tell Jim is fighting him for everything he's worth right now.
I think Bruno's strategy came back to fruition here, the different than what he initially tried to do there. But here he is again in the lead.
Yeah, Bruno, I mean, he went long both times, and yeah, the timing of the cautions just fell about to perfection for him. I mean, of course, he had to do some really hard driving to gain that track position, get the lead back, and get around some of those guys to have a chance at it for sure. As I'm watching the Eric Schaus, Jim Herrick battle, I think Eric has just gotten back around, so that's going to put Eric now in the Lucky Dog position there. So again, I say it's about to run out of time, 5 to go already. Again, these sub 20-second laps clicking off quickly. But yeah, Bruno's, he's pretty much got himself on cruise control now. He just wants to see enough laps click by where he doesn't have to worry about a restart. But man, I mean, to me though, the strategy and the fuel mileage of the race, I mean, Adriano Forporti, he was running well, but he wasn't in the top 3, but he made that mileage work to perfection on that final run.
Yeah, he just needed to get a little more room clear of the cars behind him, and he couldn't quite do that. And Bruno he's one of the best we have, so there's no doubt that he's going to do what he needs to do pretty much every time.
No, yeah, and that's exactly right. It's one of those ones where it's like, you're like, that's when it's all said and done. I think Adriano's still going to be happy with this potential runner-up result here, as we got 2 to go. So at this point, like I said, everybody else wants to get to the white. That way they can race it out to the finish. However, should a caution come out, that would be the end of the race. But right now, I say everybody's got a little bit of separation between themselves. These guys are really tight, but they're not for position. So right now, not too much as white flag is out. Bruno Miranda one more time around, and he is going to bring home the win. Like I said, there's going to be some very happy drivers, and there's definitely going to be at least one interview that's going to be like, man, what do I have to do? But out of turn 3 and 4, it's going to be Bruno Miranda getting the win here at Phoenix over Adriano Forporti. Craig Forsyth going to bring it home in 3rd. And from 2 laps down, Nick DeGroot going to bring it home in 4th. Christopher rounds out our top 5. And remember, we're talking about Christopher, Nick DeGroot, Bruno Miranda. They finished 1st, 4th, and 5th. And then Craig Forsyth was 5th in points. He finishes in 3rd. So these guys are all, once again, right at the front of the field here once it comes to the end. But looks like, I said, looks like maybe some potential either teammates or friends, because I think they're both ready to celebrate here in the front stretch.
There you go. It's like I deserved at least to celebrate. We're gonna have a language barrier here.
We'll find out. I think Bruno's been I'd say he's had to do enough interviews. I think he's been kind of picking up on it. So you see Bruno celebrating, and yeah, there's Adriano. He's celebrating too. Like I said, well deserved finish by the two of them. They'll say they'll do dueling burnouts here. Bruno's up against the wall. Adriano's doing the donuts down towards the inside. But yeah, really good job by the two of these guys. Like I said, the strategy by Adriano, and then Bruno, like I said, just honestly same thing, just able to go that little bit further, and I mean, it made the world of difference. So before we get to our top three, we'll pull up our overall results for tonight, as it's going to be Bruno Miranda getting the win. And yeah, it's a Brazilian 1-2 here tonight with Adriano Forporti in second, Craig Forsyth in third, Nick DeGroot, Christopher rounding out our top five there. And then another Brazilian there in sixth with Alan Moreira. So to say they were showing up there in fourth here tonight. Then you got Matt Wagner, Yari Brupacher, Eric Schaus went flying as well earlier in the race to finish in ninth. So a great recovery by him. Jim Herrick rounds out our top 10. And then unfortunately, some of these drivers didn't have the luck towards the end. Taylor Reeves, William Swenson, we saw that late incident for Charles Teed. Definitely not where he was running all night long. Unfortunately, winds up 13th. Then Brad Adams, Dan Morera, Richard Sanchez, Eric Peterson, and Michael Mata in 18th. And then continuing down the order here, once I click the right button, there it is. You got Gary Laverne, Bill Colley, and Elmer Joseph in 21st. So now we get to chat with some of these fellas, and we're going to kick it off with our pole sitter. I feel like any other race, a pole and a third position would be a pretty happy result, but we're going to find Craig and bring him on over here. But I feel like tonight, though, a pole position to a podium position, it's a good result, Craig, but I feel like you're probably a little sour and thinking that, man, what do I got to do to have a break in this one tonight?
I sure get punished when I don't fuel save. No, yeah, we had the pace, we had fastest car, and we were just going. And then I said the only thing that was gonna change that was if there was a caution during the pit cycle, and it had to happen on the very last lap of the pit cycle. So I mean, we'd at least gotten far enough forward that we were able to get back onto the lead lap. But then we had to, as the lucky dog getting waved around, that just puts you at the back of the pack, and you have to get through all the lapped cars, and there's just not enough time.
Yeah, and I think that was the big one. Was there's so much traffic between you and Bruno, and then even there's even a decent gap, not as many, but a gap between Adriano and Bruno as well there. And you're right, it was right at the very edge. At that point, I had thought at the time of the caution, I thought everybody was good. From where Adriano was, I figured it's like, oh, they'll be tail end of the lead lap, but not trapped a lap down or anything like that. And then as the timing and scoring is updating, we see Bruno in second. We see my dad mentioned that you were getting the lucky dog, and it's like, oh, this is very, very different. And then we saw all the wave arounds, and it was, yeah, I feel like the story of tonight was definitely just the timing of the yellows. Definitely helped some and really hurt others on both of them tonight.
Yeah, Phoenix is a really weird design as far as how the pit entry, pit open, and the start finish line are implemented. So even though the leader pitted and should have just gotten waved around as the entire line got waved around, the lucky dog still overrode that, which is unfortunate, because that would have had it just waved us around instead, we would have been the second car behind Bruno and Adriano at that point, once all the wave arounds happened, once they waved everyone back to the leader. But that's just Phoenix being Phoenix in this new orientation.
Yeah, it's the short tracks are always a cause for concern with these things, because again, I mean, you guys are running 18, 19-second laps. I mean, they're clicking off real quickly when they're going there. But I was chatting. I won't name names. I was chatting with some drivers pre-race, and they were mentioning changing weight jacker settings from turn to turn. How much were you adjusting stuff, or did you have a kind of a nice baseline where it just felt dialed in for you?
I only had it in one spot for clean air and one spot for traffic, and just left it like that. It's for me with, and Matt's setup here was really played into how I like to drive the car here. So I was just able to use the throttle to help me around the corners. I didn't have much trouble with the weight jacker at all, honestly. I didn't change any of the ARB settings or anything. It just came out to be an ideal setup for how I like to drive the car here.
I was pretty impressed with you, Craig. I was making comments during the broadcast that it just seemed like you had everybody covered, and then of course the caution came out, which I've been there, done that myself. So it really makes it disappointing when you think you've got the car to beat, and then you don't get to be that car.
That's the ins and outs of racing. Sometimes it doesn't matter that you got the fastest car, right? You cut a tire on the last lap in real racing, and suddenly the race is over. So, or blow a piston after leading 198 laps of the Indy 500. These things happen.
But you did a great race, though. You did really well.
Thanks. No, I mean, shout out to Jim and everyone over at 40 Racewear. We had a good race tonight. Jim got caught up on the first lap wreck there, which looked like crazy net code. I was just watching the replay of it, and I can't believe how much space there was between Michael and Eric when it decided that they had touched, and then that just caught Jim when he'd made an opportune pass to get between them, and then the pit cycle caught Dan out. So yeah, it's no, we had a good night, but I mean, I'll take third, but would have loved the win, that's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, you were doing everything right. Just unfortunately, the timing of the yellows were kind of out of your control, and that was what did it. But like you said, an awesome job though tonight, Craig, and definitely a well earned podium tonight. So definitely want to give you the floor though for any thanks and shouts for that podium tonight, sir.
Nope, I mean, good to hear from you, Jim. Nice, long time no hearing your voice, so that's good to hear you. And Guile, and nope, everyone at 40, and we're off for we're taking next week off. So I hope everyone has a good race next week.
Sounds good, Craig. Great job, man. Look forward to talking to you again soon, sir.
You betcha. Stay safe.
All right. So you mentioned the question of potential language barriers and such. So we will be getting our race winner, Bruno Miranda. Unfortunately, it sounds like we won't be able to pull Adriano in. However, we'll definitely still be definitely giving him a shout out, because again, just an amazing job by him as well tonight. As I'm guessing Bruno will be able to do a little bit of shouting out for him as well. So we're going to pull in our race winner, Bruno Miranda. And Bruno, my dad and I were talking about fuel mileage, and you had gone further than Craig and Matt and all those guys on the first pit stop. You did it again the second pit stop, and I mean, I think that made the difference. It was a later stop, of course, but it was a shorter stop for less fuel. And then the caution came out, and I mean, you and Adriano obviously took full advantage. But you were able to get Adriano and get around for the win. I mean, was that your strategy? Was to save fuel once you were in a good like top 3 or 4 spot, or what was your strategy tonight? I'll give him a second, get everything set up here.
Sorry, no problem.
There you are.
So this track is very difficult to pass, and so I use the strategy to pass on pit stop or one yellow to save me in the track. And so it's happened in the last stint. I'm very happy to the strategies working. So this, I think, This night, everybody's every work fixed. So I think the the race is very difficult. The Craig is very fast in all the time in the track, and Nick de Groot have problems in the beginning of the race. I think touched the wall, and I have the strategy to I use the strategy to use to stay in the top three, top four in this race, and working finally.
Yeah, it worked very well, and like I said, you did a great job tonight. As I said, I appreciate you reaching out. So, yeah, and Adriano as well wanted to, like I said, a great second place for him. So you mentioned that he sends a hug to everybody. So, definitely tell Adriano we say congratulations as well tonight. He did a great job. And like I said, you as well to do the strategy to be up front there when it mattered. Yeah, it was a great job, and of course, if you have, I don't know if you have anybody watching on YouTube, if you wanna say any thanks and shouts for the win, in Portuguese as well, by all means, say the floor is yours.
Uh, Thank you, Gael. Thank you, Jim. Congrats, Craig, for the podium. Congrats, Adriano. He's a fast guy in Brazil. These guys have some last races very bad lucky, but this night he's used the same strategy and have a good result in the league. So thank you very much, Gael. Thank you very much, Jim, Matt, all members of the league. Thank you very much to stay here. So, muito, thank you for my team, Roa Export. E muito obrigado a todos. Abraço.
Congratulations, Bruno. Great win. Looking forward to see you try to go defend that championship. So good luck the rest of the season.
Thank you, Jim. Thank you, Gael. Thank you very much.
So that is our race winner, Bruno Miranda. As I also got to pull up that paint scheme as well, Adriano Fraporti, as I get in the runner up here tonight. And again, just great job by the two of those guys, Pablo. They nailed the strategies. They did everything that they needed to do. And I mean, and I feel like strategy was kind of the topic of the night, was if and when a caution would fall, what would it do? And we saw in this case it did a lot. But really exciting race by everybody. And yeah, I'm sure Craig's hurting, but again, I'm looking at recovery drives too. I mean, Nick de Groot 2 laps down to 4th. Eric Schau's flying through the air lap 1. He comes back to 9th in the top 10. So some really good recovery drives, and Adriano and Alan Morera, both of those guys, 10 spots gained, 11 spots gained. Just great drives by the two of them as well.
Yeah, it was a great race. I mean, it was quite exciting, and more than one potential outcome there, with Craig having looked like he had it sewed up, and obviously it doesn't happen that way when the cautions can come out. But again, yeah, just putting yourself in the position, with whether it's strategy or just run as long as you can, and it turns out to be a positive thing. And obviously for Bruno and Adriano, that is exactly what happened, and they put themselves in the position to be able to win it, and that's what the result was.
That's what it takes. Is sometimes, I mean, you can be fast, but you got to have the right strategy. And Craig was fast, and the strategy just wasn't there for him. However, like I said, Bruno and Adriano, they had a little bit of both tonight. So definitely, again, congrats to them. And again, great job by Nick to recover as well as he did as well from everything. But yeah, great job by all these drivers tonight. So we'll be back again in 1 week's time here with the Area 51 Dark Horse Series at Kentucky Speedway, followed by Nashville Super Speedway, and then the Auto Club Speedway. So 4 fun ovals here in a row. Then we'll have an off week on March 19th, followed by the last 4 races of the season. However, this week We'll be back on Thursday night. Boomer Logan going to call the shots at Atlanta Motor Speedway with the Xfinity cars. And we'll, of course, be back again on Sunday night for the Super Speedway Truck Series as well. So, Papa, it was fun having you in here with you, or having you in here with me, I should say. Doing this with you, it's a lot of fun. I know we've been on track together. We've done a bunch of different things, but I haven't had you in the booth, so I'm glad I was able to convince you to come on over. And I won't lie though, I miss seeing you on track. So say when we get to some of the ones you really like, I'm going to probably try to bribe you to get back on track here.
All right, that's a deal. Yeah, it was fun. I enjoyed it. Thanks for the invite, and congrats to everybody for a fairly clean race. And for Phoenix, I think they excelled pretty well in this one. There weren't that many mistakes at all.
Yeah, it was a great job by all the drivers. I think just 4 yellows tonight in a 125 lap race. So yeah, so hats off to everybody. So again, congrats to our finishers and our podium results. Thank you everybody that watches and supports us here on Green White Checker TV. Of course, if you're interested, you can find more at Area51IRacing.com. Broadcasted on Tuesday nights, Thursday nights, and Sunday nights. So until then, hope you all have a wonderful evening. Take care, stay safe, and we'll see you all on Thursday. Have a good night.